Hi everyone, my name is Trey and I write and release music under the name TOREI. It's been a little over a year since the first album Hello on April 3rd. April 3rd. Okay, I guess I'm just not allowed to say that. That's fine. That album was more or less a proof of concept of sounds that I was interested in developing. It was conceptualized, written, and produced during a time where I was just a lowly law student going through the motions. No pun intended. I received a lot of good feedback, both positive and constructive, and I absolutely love discovering which songs and sounds people enjoyed the most. If you reached out to me and told me specifically which tunes you liked, please know that I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much for doing that. But here we are, almost a year later, or a little over a year, and I have some things to say. I wanted to make this vlog to provide a little bit of insight into what TOREI is, what I want it to be, and also timestamp this moment in my life, because I think it's important that I do that for a number of reasons. And some of those reasons might reveal themselves throughout this monologue, so just bear with me. The day that I released Hello, I immediately sat down and started writing the notes of the next release. I had no idea what it would be called, I had no idea how long it would be, but I knew that it would be special. I knew that it would be one of the most important releases of my life, and that sentiment stuck with me throughout the entire process. And trust me, it was definitely a process. I've experienced many things in the last year that have completely shattered, rocked, and even rebuilt my world. And I don't believe I'm alone in that either. I'm sure many of you could say the same, meaning those things in both good and bad ways. For me, I think one worthy of mentioning is I'm an attorney now. That's still so wild for me to say. I am really enjoying the job, actually. It's been nice to contribute to society and the client base, especially during times of financial distress for so many people. And it's especially nice to be working alongside the team that I'm working with at the firm. I'm incredibly thankful to be where I am. And during my practice, no matter what it is, I will always aim to be an ethical, competent, and dedicated advocate of people. So thank you for your support in that regard. But with that being said, I've had to adjust to a new way of life while discovering how to keep music at the forefront of my daily practice. And any working class musician understands that sentiment. We are totally unable to relinquish our passion, but we gotta do what we gotta do. And we have a lot to do too. We have to practice virtuosity as well as having fun with our creations and compositions. I'd say I've been able to manage that pretty well, but make no mistake, it was very, very difficult. And before moving on, just to give you a little bit of perspective, since releasing the album Hello, I've had to take law school exams, graduate law school, study for the bar exam, take the bar exam, play that waiting game, maintain my health, handle a few personal matters that took a huge toll on my psyche. And now that I've passed the exam, I work full-time at the law firm. Needless to say, I've had to specifically schedule time to work on this next release. However, I don't think it was time that was the real struggle. And I want to make this next part incredibly clear. It's not that I did not have gaps of time to work on the next release. Rather, as I look back on the last year, I see how my demos developed. I read what I wrote to myself in my journal entries, and it is so evident to me which gaps of time I was motivated to write music and which times I was not. It's so obvious to me the moments that I was completely deflated, defeated, and destroyed, so to speak. And other times where I was uplifted, I was soaring and being driven by something so powerful outside of myself. And I wanted to tell you that the most powerful motivator was you. It is you. The moments where I feel like I could write anything and be the best musician I could be were the same moments that I thought of completing this project for you. Not for myself, not for notoriety, because when I started to think of those things, I just felt dead. And my music sounded dead to me as well. and writing felt like a tedious chore. But when I thought of you, I became something else entirely. I was fueled by this insatiable desire to make you feel something, to maybe feel things similar to how I felt over the past year. And like I said, I remember the times where there was nothing but ashes, the remains of something that was but no longer is. And then something would happen. Somebody would tell me that they listened to TOREI's first album for the very first time, or they intentionally sought a song from it. They would revisit it. Somebody would tell me what the sounds meant to them, or somebody would be thoughtful enough to give me a gift, right? So, arguably the most popular song from Hello was Dead Mall Dancing, right? I think just the play count suggests that. But check this out, okay? Somebody gave me this, right? That's a little glass imprint of Hello and the song. And something like this would happen, along with all the other things that I just suggested, and the forge was reignited, right? And it was reignited with the most terrifying and transforming explosion of passion I've ever felt. And all I could think was, I need to write this thing. I have to stop what I'm doing immediately and write down the sounds in my head before they're gone. Like desperately practicing a foreign language before it leaves you. And after all, music is a language, right? I was writing sounds hoping that somebody would translate it for themselves and connect it to their own story and find meaning. That is what life is, right? Just observing people and applying it to your own perception. Sometimes, depending on the context of your life, the same melody could haunt you, just as it once saved you. Saying someone's name out loud, it could soothe you or give you anxiety, depending on what that person means to you at that moment in time. And maybe it's not that simple, right? Maybe it's not that black and white. Maybe you speak the name or hear the melody and you feel both a humbling reverence and a deep sadness. Maybe it's a trance-like euphoria and a blinding anger. It's not that black and white. And speaking of which, I'd like to kind of unpack how I've communicated that idea through this next release. Specifically, the idea of reframing melodies and sounds. So Crowncast is the name of my podcast. You can listen to it on any podcast platform, as well as the same YouTube channel that all the Crownsguard Studios videos are on. It's another avenue where I get to communicate and disclose thoughts that I've had, mostly in the entertainment realm. But many times I get the opportunity to talk about my own stuff as well. On episode number 5, when I was talking to the co-host, one of my best friends, Jake, we were talking about TOREI's music, and I said this. And another thing I'd love to do is to not abandon melodies. I'd love to bring melodies back and reharmonize them, or maybe do them in a different way, faster, slower. I kind of want TOREI not to just be like just album based, but like essence based. Like, you know what I mean? So like if you were listening to the next album and you heard the melody from either A Toast to My Friends or Slow Talk or any of the, and you heard it like again, you would kind of feel like a sense of, oh, I feel like I've been here before, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like now I'm here today, and that's how I want TOREI to be. I want it to be this thing that's just like, I don't say everlasting, but like this experience that people keep on having, but not forgetting the past, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how I'm viewing it, but I have no idea how long I want it to be, or how crazy I want it to be, how like heavy I want it to be, or how soft. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm pleased to tell you that I've maintained those goals. Specifically, the goals of diversifying what you'll hear in the album, and also maintaining previous motifs and sounds first heard on Hello, and even some on Sun and Moon as well. You see, I've actually decided to handpick and name my melodies. The ones written for Sun and Moon, and also some of the ones that you first heard on Hello. And I've decided to weave them into the various fabrics of sound that you'll hear on all the new material. There was, in fact, an Excel spreadsheet that had all this information on it, and it kept me on track whenever I forgot what was referenced where and why and who, you know. But you actually don't need this Excel sheet in front of you to kind of understand what's going on. In fact, if you listen on Spotify, the visual canvases actually do flash which melodies are in that song. So you can watch out for them whenever you encounter or revisit a song. And trust me, if you're listening for it, and if you're a fan of TOREI generally, you can certainly hear your favorite melodies and sounds in the next release, as well as maybe future albums as well. I really look forward to hearing how you will react to those recontextualizations, while you also think about how you too have grown as a person in your own life. Referring to the podcast, if you liked having that type of insight, you can check out the entire podcast and hear some other inside information, Easter eggs or other secrets about the album. But I hope that little audio bit kind of guides you as we both see how TOREI develops in the future. By now, I hope that you've graced me with your time by listening to Sun and Moon. And I hope you found yourself in those melodies. I hope you found yourself in those sounds, in those chord progressions, in those textures. They say we don't finish songs, we kind of just abandon them at some point, and hopefully it means something to somebody. I've been writing this album for a year, and I've been listening to these songs over and over and over. But now I finally get to relinquish that control, and now you finally get to enjoy it, and that makes me more happy than probably any point in time when I was writing the album. So please enjoy them. After all, I did it for you. So I appreciate your time and your support. With all that being said, I would like to tackle some specific questions that were asked of me when I asked for question submissions regarding this video, this vlog. So I'll kind of tackle them in a random order. Mariah, a very dear friend of mine, and actually the mother of the child that one of the songs was named after, specifically Okami Neon. I'm just kidding. It's Emerson. She asked me about my thought process of writing songs. Do I get an image first and do I create a sound for that image? Do I play with sounds and then kind of figure it out from there? Do I have a melody first and then go? And this is a pretty long-winded answer, so bear with me. I feel like the variety of styles that you'll hear on my albums more or less show my hand when it comes to writing music and how it's actually a case-by-case basis for me. In my view, I like my compositions to reflect a variety of different feelings and vibes. Because to me, while that isn't 100%, radio-friendly success, in my view, that's more of real life. That's more synonymous with actually living life and feeling things. You think about all the experiences you've had right up until this point and how those made you feel. I'm sure you felt things for which we don't even have words to describe. As far as the actual act, I could start writing in a number of ways. I could be riffing on the guitar first, I could be playing chords on the piano, listening to samples, or even writing ideas in my head on my way to work in the morning, or even coming home in the afternoon. And at some point, I throw those ideas into the workstation, and I just keep going. Now remember, because so much of the intent of this new material was to recontextualize melodies, a large focus of TOREI writing is making sure the stage is set for that particular actor or that mood that I'm going for in that moment. Make no mistake, I was thinking of specific stories with each track, yes. But I kind of have this self-rule that I never really tell people what my songs are about exactly, because I feel like I'm robbing you of attributing and attaching your own meaning and your own story to a song. Now, there are exceptions, right? I may tell you if you are a primary subject or an inspiration of a track, or like right now, if I feel like it's necessary to illustrate how much thought goes into a particular song. I'm going to do that right now with the song Emerson. I think it's appropriate that I at least highlight the intent behind it, just to show you a little bit more of what I mean. You know how in Star Wars, Luke Skywalker is the protagonist? But really, the story is kind of about Darth Vader and his whole arc. Honestly, not so different with the song Emerson here. Not so different from what I was trying to do. Emerson features the melody of life, which is featured whenever the story of a song I'm writing deals with themes of new life, existence, rebirth, things of that nature. You see, the song Emerson was named after the child. Even though her birth and her spirit is a driving force of the song, the backdrop of the tune is actually about my relationship with the parents, and more specifically, the father, Jake. The way that I play guitar on that song emulates how he often played whenever we played in a band together. He was a big fan of playing those wide third intervals, and you'll notice that while the life melody remains forward moving, the guitars that originally started the tune have reversed when the beat finally kicks in. In my view, in my thought process, those reverse guitars that play underneath the forward moving life melody is like time traveling and reliving the moments we spent together as friends and how our growth has always been driven by the same thing. Not only has Jake been there for me and saved me from myself a number of times, but now here he is, a competent man and father of his own kid. And writing the song Emerson has always had this undertone of humility and thankfulness for the friendship I found in this dude. Now, without spoiling or exposing any more secrets about the tune or how it's connected to the broader and bigger picture, you should know that all the tracks on both Sun and Moon have that general thought process. It always started with experimentation until I found my own meaning, and then the story I chose to connect with that song finally drove me to pick sounds, styles, and lyrics, if any. So yeah, case by case. Tina, my family member, more specifically my aunt, asked, "What are your goals with TOREI?" To be determined. No, but seriously, TOREI is my outlet for compositional songwriting. So my first and primary goal is self-expression, right? Just for my own mental health. But I would be lying if I told you that was my only goal. The truth is, I would love for TOREI, and even Blame the Season, my other metal band in which I'm a vocalist, to become bigger and better entities. I would love for people to find their own meaning and attachment to my music, and I hope one day to perform it all, How cool would that be, to perform Hello, Sun and Moon in its entirety, especially with a full band? I think that would be a lot of fun. If I could project an actual, more measurable goal, it would be to have a steady stream of income and support for the music that I write. But until that happens, I'm honestly just having so much fun, just writing and practicing and bettering myself in the musical department. And for that, I'm very content with what's happening right now. David, another really good friend of mine, asked, "What color shirt were you wearing when you wrote Sun?" As funny as it is, there actually kind of is an answer to this. A variety of colors, yes. But to be honest with you, I think about 70% of the last year, it was a white shirt. Probably because I was either studying for the bar exam, not going out anywhere, especially because of the nature of, what's been going on in the country. But I also would just come home from work and just take off my suit and just work from there. So it was literally just like a white undershirt 70% of the time. So there's your answer, my friend. I have to say before I end this video that one of the most common critiques of my first album, Hello, was that it wasn't long enough. Now you have stuff to chew on. So thanks for watching this video. Thanks for kind of connecting with me in this way, and for taking the time to kind of understand the intent, the motive, the process, procedure, methodology, pedagogy of Sun and Moon, and even Hello too. With that being said, thanks again, and I hope you enjoy Sun and Moon for many years to come. Until next time.